What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Today, we're going to be ranking the SEC college football coaches. This is going to be a tournament format, so it's going to be a little different than, straight up ranking them 16th through 1st. But there are 16 teams, so essentially we've got a Sweet 16, an Elite 8, a Final Four, and then ultimately the championship between the top two coaches. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to break down each matchup essentially in a versus format. So join me down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. How would you rank the SEC coaches? Let's get started. All right, so first off, we've got Kirby Smart versus Jeff Lebby. So for reference, how I ranked these guys originally as far as the setup the tournament is pretty much just how they finished last year. So Georgia was first, Mississippi State was last, and so on. That's how they got this. No randomness to it. That's how they got this order. So Kirby Smart versus Jeff Lebby. Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches in the country. Last season, 11-3, overall 105-19. Really good track record of consistency at Georgia. 847 win percentage, 2 national championships. Going to be tough to beat. As for Jeff Lebby, 1 year as a college football head coach. OC has been an OC at Ole Miss, Oklahoma. But Mississippi State, tough to win. Not too great last year, 2-10. Got to go Kirby Smart here. Really no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. Next up, Shane Beamer against Mike Elko. Shane Beamer at South Carolina last season, 9-4. Things are trending up with him and the North Sellers. 569 win percentage, only 1 losing season. Has done a good job at getting talent to South Carolina as far as quarterback is concerned. Spencer Rattler, the North Sellers. Now, has he turned into too much production? Not really. But he has done a good job of getting talent there. As for Mike Elko, 1 year at A&M, so job, 8-5, but 24-14 overall, 632 win percentage, 16-9 at Duke. Did a really good job at Duke, I thought. Had them really the most competitive I've seen Duke play. So I got to go Mike Elko on this one. All right, so that, as you can see, Kirby Smart and Mike Elko in the East advancing. Moving on to the South, Brian Kelly and Clark Lea. Brian Kelly, first off, LSU, last season 9-4. Overall, tremendous track record and win percentage, 195-73, wins a lot of games, just doesn't win the big one. 728 win percentage, 12 double-digit win seasons, tough to do there. Clark Lea, last season 7-6, has Vanderbilt trending in the right direction. Overall, though, not great. Vanderbilt is a tough place to win. Clark Lea's done a good job, I think, at least last year. Brian Kelly, just too much. Got to go Brian Kelly. All right, Kalen DeBoer, Alabama, coming over from Washington, take over for Saban. Okay last year, 9-4. Not really up to Alabama standards, though. Overall, done really good, 46-13, wins everywhere he goes. 780 win percentage. College football playoff appearance at Washington, made the national championship there. As for Hugh Freeze, last season, 5-7. You'll remember not too long ago, he was at Ole Miss, did really good there. At Auburn, hasn't had as much success as he would have hoped. 94-57, 3 10-win seasons, though, most of that being at Ole Miss. I got to go Kalen DeBoer here. I think he's a better coach overall. All right, so Brian Kelly and Kalen DeBoer advance. Moving on to the North, we've got Steve Sarkisian and Mark Stoops. So Sark, I'm not the biggest fan of Sarkisian. He gets talent there to Texas, but I think they should be even better than they are. But last season, 13-3, 84-52 overall. Has done really good at Texas compared to what he did at USC and Washington. 2 college football playoff semifinal appearances in a row. Good job. Mark Stoops done a pretty good job at Kentucky. Not the easiest place to win. Last season, not so great. If you remember, he took the A&M job, got a lot of backlash, and that ended up not happening. Overall, though, 77-73. Solid at Kentucky, I would say. A little over 500. 2 10-win seasons, but a little up and down, yo-yo-ish. So I got to go Sark here. Next up, Eli Drinkwitz and Billy Napier. Eli Drinkwitz, one of the more slept-on head coaches in the country, has done a really good job in Missouri. Last season, 10-3, 3 10-plus win seasons, being at Appalachian State and Missouri. 50-25 overall, but he has done an excellent job in Missouri, I think. Billy Napier, things are trending up for him at Florida, but he is still on thin ice at Florida. Last season, 8-5. Going to need a pretty good year this year probably to save his job. 3 10-plus win seasons, all those being at Louisiana, though, before he came to Florida. So he can win, but can he win at Florida? We'll see. Give me Eli Drinkwitz here. All right, then last but not least here in the West, we've got Lane Kiffin Last season, 10-3. Overall, 106-52. 6 10+1 seasons. Lane Kiffin wins, but just doesn't win the big one. Sam Pittman, not very good at Arkansas, let's be honest. Last season, 7-6, about 500-ish overall. 3 bowl appearances. Give me Lane Kiffin. Josh Heupel versus Brent Venables. We'll cut to the chase on this one. Josh Heupel, similar to Drinkwitz, I think one of the more slept-on coaches in the country. Really good job. Brent Venables, great DC head coach. Not so much, because Oklahoma is a place you should win, and Brent Venables is not doing that. All right, so give me Heupel. All right, so this sets up an Elite Eight of Kirby Smart versus Mike Elko, Brian Kelly versus Kalen DeBoer, Steve Sarkisian versus Eli Drinkwitz, and Lane Kiffin versus Josh Heupel. All right, so Kirby Smart versus Mike Elko. Kirby Smart, like I said, one of the best coaches in the country, I think. Mike Elko, given time at A&M, I think he'll be successful, because what he did at Duke I thought was pretty impressive. But Kirby Smart, again, it's going to take a lot to knock him off. One of, if not the best coach in the country, especially with Saban gone. So give me Kirby Smart here, no contest. Brian Kelly and Kalen DeBoer. So this is where we kind of get into a conversation a little bit in this round. Kelly, been consistent for a long time. Track record, won at Notre Dame, Cincinnati, now LSU, but can he win the big one? He still has not done that yet, so that's kind of where the question marks come into play. As for Kalen DeBoer, really good prior to coming to Bama. We'll see how he ends up doing getting his guys into Alabama, if he can kind of keep that train rolling. It's tough to fill Nick Saban's shoes. DeBoer is a heck of a coach, but Kelly has just done it for so long. I got to lean Brian Kelly here. But this is pretty much a coin flip here. I think DeBoer is a heck of a coach, but Brian Kelly has the track record. He's done it, like you can see, 12 double-digit win seasons. That's not easy to do. So give me Brian Kelly in that one. Next up, Steve Sarkisian and Eli Drinkwitz. Now, this one is actually probably closer for me than you might think. As good as Sark has Texas right now, again, very inconsistent in his coaching regimen. I think if he can win this year at Texas, and they should, if he can win this year with a little bit of a different roster than he has had during these 2 semifinal appearances in a row, he might win me over. But again, questionable stuff, questionable play calling for Sark. If he would hire an OC, I think Sark might be the top 5 coach, no doubt. But I do have some doubts there. Eli Drinkwitz, like I said, it's not easy to win in Missouri with what he has done, but Sark barely edges him here just from making 2 semifinal appearances in a row. But Eli Drinkwitz actually a lot closer to Sark, I think, than most might say. So give me Sark in that one. Lane Kiffin and Josh Heupel, both 10-3 last year, both won a lot of ball games, but I got to give Heupel the edge here, believe it or not. He made the playoffs. I think Tennessee is not the easiest place to win as of late, and I think Josh Heupel has really turned that thing around. He's got it going. We'll see what he does with the Nico situation, who they bring in, who their next quarterback's going to be, how that goes. We'll see. But this is a pretty close matchup here, but as good as Kiffin is getting talent in, Heupel's the one that's made the playoffs. So give me Josh Heupel in this one. All right, so it's up at the Final Four. Kirby Smart versus Brian Kelly, Steve Sarkisian versus Josh Heupel. Kirby Smart and Brian Kelly, both 2 of the top 10 coaches in the country, both consistent, lots of wins, lots of 10+1 seasons. But Kirby wins the big one. That's the big difference here is, yes, they're both really consistent at being good, but at a certain point, you got to put that into production. You got to win the big one. Kirby Smart has done that. Give me Kirby Smart there. Steve Sarkisian and Josh Heupel. Sark does a great job of getting talent onto campus, but again, I think they kind of underperformed considering what talent they do have. Josh Heupel, I think he kind of makes up for, I won't say lack of talent. Yes, they have talent, but I've been impressed with what I've seen from Josh Heupel. So believe it or not, I'm going to go Josh Heupel here. I think Josh Heupel edges Sark out here in this one. So you got to college football playoff matchup. What am I talking about? Kirby Smart versus Heupel in the final 2 showdown championship, if you will. As good of a coach as Josh Heupel is, again, Kirby Smart, the 2 natties just sets him apart here. If Sark could make a college football playoff national championship, he would probably edge Heupel, but I've been impressed with Heupel, so he edged Sark, but Kirby is just too much of a monster. Give me Kirby Smart here. Kirby Smart is the number 1 coach in the SEC, no doubt. There's really not an argument to that, I don't think. So that is kind of how I would power rank them. But how would you power rank the SEC coaches? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. And most importantly, subscribe.